Let me bring in now Shaun Bailey. He is the Conservative candidate for London Mayor. Shaun, great to have you here. There's a lot to cover off today. The first thing is Sadiq Khan, the London Mayor and your rival, is harping on today on Twitter about masks and about the fact that the government should have followed Nicola Sturgeon's lead and recommended that all citizens wear masks, which is all well and good. And to be honest, Shaun, I actually think that is where we are heading, inevitably. But the question that I have is, why has he done nothing as the Mayor of London to get the drivers on the buses, the staff on the tube and the staff for TfL masks and PPE?
Good afternoon to you all. That would be my complete first question. I've been asking for over 3 weeks now, along with unions such as ASLEF and Unite, to provide these PPE masks for workers. He does not need permission. He certainly has enough of our money to do so. So I'm astonished that he has decided to play politics and go after the government when he himself, at his own level of responsibility, has done little or nothing. And it's resulting in the deaths of people who are providing transport services for us in London. I really think he needs to get his own house in order first.
And the tubes are his responsibility.
The tube, look, as Mayor of London, he is the chair of TfL, so it's absolutely his responsibility. And he does not have to ask for permission to provide PPE for not only the people travelling on the tube, the people who work on the tube network, but also us, the public, who are travelling on there. I myself went as far as finding a provider who could get 600,000 pieces of KN95 masks immediately, and he ignored that. He needs to say to people, here's what I want you to do on the tube. And the thing about this outbreak and people's response to it, people are taking it seriously. Your survey would show that. He doesn't need to order anybody to wear anything. I just believe if we provided it, they absolutely would. And the results of your survey, only 20% of people showing any confidence of going back on the tube, suggest to me that people are taking this seriously.
Well, yes, Shaun, and I have real worries about the reopening of London. It has to happen for the sake of the entire British economy. It's incredibly important, and that will save lives in the future too. But if we've only got a quarter of people even prepared to use the tubes, that's an issue. Then the other issue, of course, though, is if people are slowly coming back to work and start being forced to come back to work, surely as someone who uses the tube all the time, you must understand it's going to be virtually impossible to maintain social distancing. I mean, anyone who hasn't ridden on a tube in London might not understand, but you are literally packed in like sardines. I know it's the old cliche, but the idea that you could keep 2 meters apart from any other individual on a tube carriage is just fantasy land talk.
Let me paint a picture for your listeners that are not from London. I am a Londoner. I travel on tube every single day, or in the weekday. If you are lucky, if you can keep 4 inches away from people, forget 2 meters. That is clearly not the case. But what the mayor should have been doing this whole time, if he had made the tube safer, then people would be less alarmed about taking steps to get back onto it. And let's be clear, this failure started long before COVID. It's been the mismanagement of TfL's finances that have led to such a low level of provision on the tube. For instance, he's the only person who's furloughing. He's the only government department that's furloughing its staff. That says something about the financial situation of TfL. He had to let go of 30% of TfL staff before this outbreak. There's something wrong there. And those cuts in services have an effect now, because people are very well aware that the tube is more packed than it's ever been and are very unlikely or very afraid to put themselves back in that position. Again, this is where leadership and planning, to be reactive in this way, does not fill Londoners with confidence. He needs to be on the front foot.
Well, exactly. And Shaun, he's had weeks. We've now been in lockdown for well over a month. I would ask the question, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Has he looked at introducing hand sanitizer throughout tube stations, throughout tube carriages? Just an idea that I've literally come up with then. It would cost a lot of money, but perhaps that is something that the London Assembly and TfL are going to have to cop at the moment, because we are going to have to spend a lot of money to make things as hygienic as possible. Has he looked at an idea like that?
There's a number of ideas I've given him to look at. For instance, he should be making sure every bus and tube service receives a proper clean down after every service. he should be making sure that air conditioning units are cleaned thoroughly as regularly as possible. And of course, he should be providing staff with PPE, not only for their own safety, because remember, as staff members, they're putting themselves and their families at risk, but also for the wider public safety as well. When you talk about hand sanitizers, a number of people have been talking about hand sanitizers that don't even need any physical contact. All those things could be provided. But above all of that, first and foremost, he needs to up the capacity.
Yeah,
People
but
are
all he
worried
wants to
about
do, Shaun, is moan at the government. That is Shaun Bailey, the Conservative candidate for London Mayor. A legal note: we have approached the Mayor's office for comment. If we get any comment during the show, we will of course bring it to you. 03444991000 is my number. The question of the day: will you use public transport as soon as the government eases lockdown?